From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Daryl Clark. Stephanie Woodard is on assignment. Leading our broadcast this evening, as the flooding situation in Galena continues to play itself out and some residents evacuated from the immediate area begin returning home to assess damage, here in Fairbanks, one of the state lawmakers who represents that area met with those residents still displaced by the disaster. Democrat State Senator Donnie Olson on Tuesday evening stopped by Willow House to speak with many of the evacuees and hear their concerns. Olson, who is a lifelong resident of the small Inupiat Eskimo community of Golovin, says he was overwhelmed and devastated by the disaster when he visited the immediate area. In a question-answer forum with Olson and his aides, Galena residents voiced their feelings about returning home and the road ahead once they do get there. In an exclusive interview with News Center 11, Olson says top priority is getting people back there.
Well, first of all, I just was stunned and astonished by the devastation and destruction that I saw when I was down in Galena. You got these homes that are there that are people have memories and of their parents and their grandparents and the children running around, and all of a sudden these places are torn apart. They're drifting down the river. They're off the pilings. They're in different places, and so it was a very heart-rending situation that I found myself in. Now, I come from a town of Golovin, which has 100 people, and I'm building my place up because I've got little kids as well. I've got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-month-old. And so when I see a place like that, when this happens and starts to go and tear at the home structure, I feel very sensitive toward it.
A garage sale and barbecue will be held Saturday at the Harper Building on Geist Road for victims of the Galena flood. And Community Development and Interior Aleutians Campus have received an overwhelming amount of contributions for the sale and need volunteers to help sort and organize it through Saturday. Our barbecue, along with bake sale, will also be on the agenda. The sale will run Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on June 15th at 4280 Geist Road here in Fairbanks.
So here we are just a few days before the garage sale, and as you can see, our entire building is filled with things that have been donated from people here in Fairbanks, people in Kotzebue and Fort Yukon, Barrow. We've gotten stuff mailed to us and just dropped off from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day.
For more information on donations or to volunteer, contact Leona. Her number is 474-5086. A community dinner and dance fundraiser for Galena is planned for 5 p.m. Friday at the Chief David Salmon Tribal Hall. It's an all-ages event with live bands, a raffle, and meal. Raffle item donations are needed there as well. They can be delivered in advance to Doyon Limited or Tanana Chiefs Conference or brought to the hall starting at 1 p.m. on the event day. Not guilty pleas for a 35-year-old North Pole man in jail for the alleged rape of a longtime acquaintance. Matthew Kaleli is charged with 2 counts of first-degree sexual assault and a single count of felony assault in the second degree. Alaska State Troopers received a report of the alleged incident they say took place in the South Pegger Road area. Troopers say Kaleli and the alleged victims were acquaintances and had known each other for several years. The woman says after the alleged assault, Kaleli contacted her later, admitted to the assault, and apologized for what he had done. Also pleading not guilty, a 44-year-old North Pole man accused of picking up a package containing approximately $20,000 worth of heroin at the City of North Pole post office. John McElwain was arraigned Tuesday in Fairbanks Superior Court, charged with second-degree misconduct involving a controlled substance. Court records say McElwain picked up a package containing just over 39 grams of heroin. After McElwain picked up the package at the post office, drug investigators followed him to his residence and later arrested him. Well, when we come back, Juneteenth celebrations here in the interior. Also find out what's happening this week at Pioneer Park. Those stories are next. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Riverboat Discovery will be cruising down the Chena this coming Sunday afternoon to raise money for the Stone Soup Cafe. Boarding will be at 6:30, sailing at 7. There will be music at the dock and on board, and you can bring your own picnic or buy one from Stone Soup. Thanks to the generosity of the Binkley family, all proceeds go to support the many meals served by Stone Soup Cafe every weekday of the year. Tickets are available online at stonesoupcafe.org and can be delivered to your door or held at the dock.
With the evacuees from Galena in, our numbers are up, and they often go up in the summer as people from surrounding villages come into Fairbanks to look for work, and may take a few days or a few weeks until they find a job. But there's a steady call year-round. I think the lowest number I've ever seen that we've served for breakfast is 55, and the highest is close to 100.
We'll have more about the Stone Soup Cafe on our news tomorrow. Juneteenth is the nationally celebrated honor of the ending of slavery in the United States. This weekend, cities across America will gather to remember the end of a dark era in our nation's past. 2 years after the Civil War ended, some slaves in Texas didn't know they were free. Juneteenth celebrates the realization that the slaves were no longer property, they were Americans. Here in Fairbanks, the NAACP and other organizations will also highlight the event beginning this evening through Sunday. According to organizer Sandra Rice, the occasion is also used as an avenue to give thanks to our predecessors.
It shows them that the struggle that they had and that their grandfathers had and their grandmothers and great-grandmothers had did not go for nothing. And it also educates our children and to the importance of it, because without our ancestors going through that struggle, we wouldn't be here now. And I feel that we need to educate them to that so they know why, we insist that our children go to school, why we insist that they vote. We insist why they become active members in their community when there are things going on around them and not just wait for someone else to do it. And it's important to know our foundation, and our ancestors are our foundation. Our veterans are our foundation. And so it is very important.
Fort Wainwright soldiers pooled their resources last week for a large-scale training. News Center 11's Stephanie Woodard has more now in our military report.
For the 5-foot-2-4, we have 3 enemy at 9-6.
Last week, soldiers from Fort Wainwright worked together to perform a large-scale simulated air assault. What does that mean? Soldiers from across Fort Wainwright worked together to simulate an actual war scenario with everything from helicopters to terrorists.
The exercise is a culminating event of all the individual tasks that we've trained throughout the winter time frame. What we've done is then brought that all together in this event here at Husky DZ and brought in our brothers in the aviation element in order to synchronize basically a combined arms effort.
Although to put on such a large-scale training, many months are used to plan. Most of the events will be sprung on the soldiers to include injuries and even deaths to help prepare them for what they may actually encounter downrange.
The training events that are going to transpire are only known to a few people what's going to happen, because we need them to exercise what's really going to happen, and the unknown is is a key element of combat.
One big part of the air assault was the cooperation from the aviation units. Every type of helicopter, Kiowas, Blackhawks, and Chinooks were utilized in this mission.
We take each of these individual tasks and we've switched out the platform with which we deliver the soldier to the battlefield. Typically in 125 we utilize the Striker, or with this platoon, the MPs, they use the M1114 up-armored Humvee.
While in the field, the soldiers feel this training is important.
Pretty much I was just telling my soldiers that if that was their battle body in real combat, an actual mission, they probably wouldn't be slacking off. Just because this is training doesn't mean you take it easy. We train hard, so when we get to the actual combat, we're able to perform our tasks as soldiers. And that's not just eliminating the enemy, but also saving our buddy's life in case they get wounded. Here, this is how we train. We train to fight, win America's wars. That's what we do.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
Well, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Time to check in once again with News Center 11's Stephanie Woodard and what's happening at Pioneer Park.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of What's Happening at Pioneer Park. This weekend there is so much happening inside the park. There's the 21st annual Mosquito Meander. We'll be talking to Camille with Fairbanks Counseling and Adoption about that. But first, let's talk to Steve Horman, president of the Friends of the Tanana Valley Railroad, about what you can expect this Father's Day on this old steam engine. Come on. Hi, Steve. So tell me about what's happening here on Father's Day at the park.
We'll be operating the 114-year-old engine #1 steam locomotive for our Father's Day run. It predates even the incorporation of the city of Fairbanks.
That is crazy. All right, well, thank you so much, Steve. And now we're going to go talk to Camille with Fairbanks Counseling and Adoption about the Mosquito Meander that's also going to end right outside of the Friends of the Valley. Camille, tell me a little bit about the Mosquito Meander this weekend.
This is our 21st annual Mosquito Meander to support the programs and services of Fairbanks Counseling and Adoption. So Saturday at 10 a.m. we'll be beginning right here in the parking lot of Pioneer Park at 10 a.m. sharp. The race is going to end at the main pavilion in the park this year, where we're going to have activities for families and children. Great. Sam's Club is going to be sponsoring a tent where they'll have snacks and activities for the kids, including face painting. Party Palace is going to be sponsoring a balloon twister to make animals for the kids, and there'll be music and entertainment as well.
So tell me about the registration and volunteers. Can they still sign up?
Yes, you can register at Fairbanks Counseling and Adoption or on our website at fcaalaska.org or call 456-4729.
Today's vendor spotlight is Frosty Paws, serving frozen yogurt, soft ice cream, and other tasty treats.
Before we go, we cannot leave without giving you your trivia question. The question this week, how old is steam engine number 1? Go to webcenter11.com and enter for your chance to win some really neat prizes. And that's what's happening this week at Pioneer Park.
All right, Joe Cook joins me now with a little sports.
Yeah, did you see the game last night?
Indeed I did.
Yeah, man. Hey, I think I know why the Spurs won the way they did last night. And it could have been something they ate.
Really?
So stay tuned for that. But coming up out of the break, your Gold Panners stay unbeaten to start out the summer season. That and more coming up next. Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the Sports Seat for you this evening, bringing you some Channel 11 sports for this Wednesday night. The Gold Panners continued their slate of road games last evening. They also continued their winning ways in the first Alaska Baseball League game of the year. Fairbanks was in Chugiak last night and had to mount a comeback to take down the Chinooks, but the Gold Panners pulled it off with a 5-4 win. The Gold Panners rallied with 3 runs in the top of the 5th to gain the lead after trailing 3-1. Jimmy Sinatro had the bat working, going 3 for 5 and had a solo home run to lead the Gold Panners. Kyle Harrington's double brought in 2 runners for Fairbanks to give them the lead for good. Harrington, a sophomore from New Mexico Highlands University, joined the team Tuesday. Now that's how you make a first impression. The Gold Panners face the Anchorage Bucks tonight in another road ABL game. Fairbanks is 3-0-1 to start the season. Now on to some club soccer. Some of our interior teams are competing in the lower 48 in some summer soccer tournaments. Earlier this month, the Eclipse 99 under-14 girls won the Alaska Airlines Cup in Anchorage, and the boys Phoenix 99 under-14 squad came in second. Today, the kids are learning about tough losses. The Eclipse 99 lost its opening game in the U.S. Youth Soccer's Region 4 President's Cup tournament, 4-3 to Liza Chelsea, a team from Hawaii. Eclipse was up 3-1, but Chelsea came back with 3 unanswered goals in the second half. Alexis Shipman led the Eclipse with 2 goals. The double elimination President's Cup tournament is in Boise, Idaho. The Eclipse will play Platinum FC Sanchez, a Southern California team, tomorrow at 10 a.m. The Alaska Phoenix 99 under-14 boys team also suffered a 1-goal loss to the home team FC Boise, 3-2. Phoenix also led 1-0, but Boise was able to gain the lead and maintain it for the win. Phoenix will play Eastside White WC from Washington State tomorrow morning as well. Well, Game 1 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals between the Chicago Blackhawks and Boston Bruins, 2 of the original 6 teams just wrapped up this evening, but there's one Chicago fan who is displaying his own unique way of showing support for his Blackhawks. He's using the green, but I don't mean money. Christian Farr has the story.
If you could not notice, Frank Miller is a die-hard Chicago Blackhawks fan who did not show his pride by simply wearing a jersey.
I was watching the Hawks playoff game and I saw them growing their playoff beards. So I'm like, well, I'm going to grow my playoff lawn.
And that is exactly what this Park Ridge resident did. Miller says when other Blackhawk fans drive by, they show their pride.
I stuck it in the lawn and everybody drives by, beeps at it, people stop and take pictures of it. It's awesome.
But at one point, the city of Park Ridge and maybe even some of his neighbors were not in love with Miller's playoff beard lawn. And that's when one day last month, someone paid him a visit.
They came out. I was watching the playoffs one night with my son, and I hear a lawnmower going off, and I come outside. I'm like, what are you doing? The guy was cutting my lawn with this giant industrial-sized lawnmower, and he said that the city had come and paid him to cut my lawn.
Since the city mowed his lawn, Miller says he still has not cut it and hopes that his playoff beard lawn will bring the Blackhawks luck in their final Stanley Cup matchup against the Boston Bruins. But he knows the Bruins will be a tough team to beat.
I am a big Blackhawks fan, and of course I want them to win, but Boston's a very tough team, very tough team.
And after the Spurs just dismantled the Heat last night, 113-77 in Game 3 of the NBA Finals to take a 2-1 lead in the series, there can be one explanation for the Spurs hitting an NBA Finals record 16 threes. Donuts.
You see that, yeah, they look pretty good too. The El Volcan Panderia Bakery in San Antonio started making donuts in the shape of the Spurs NBA logo when the Spurs made the playoffs, and they can hardly keep them off the baking racks. The bakery is actually giving free Spurs donuts to San Antonio Spurs players to show support. And I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Green and Gary Neal, the Spurs, had a couple of those donuts before last night's game. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. For more KTVS Sports, just go to Twitter, YouTube, webcenter11.com. You know it. You can also get our mobile app. Stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast. Coming up next, we'll catch you next time.
Hey, welcome back into the Fbx Evening News, everyone. Mike Schultz with you once again for a look at the weather. And what can I say, but it looks fantastic for the weekend. We've been talking about it all week. And the forecast is for temperatures near 90 degrees by Sunday. How about that? And you can see right now at the airport, we're looking at 70 degrees after a high of 72. The low last night, 46. Record high in 1999 got up to 85 that day. In contrast, the record low, 36 in 1931. Our sunrise and sunset, well, that works out to 21 hours and 41 minutes, a gain of 4 minutes from yesterday. Here's what's going on across the state in the map and the satellite pictures. You can see, looking at clouds really diminishing rapidly on all the areas around the Fairbanks area. The showers that we had are just moving off to the east, and just the mid-level clouds over the southeastern sections of the state. On the map today, you can see not a whole lot to talk about. Some clouds around Ketchikan and Coal Bay. Other than that, everybody looking real nice. Lots of sunshine and temperatures warming up nicely. 77 in Anchorage. How about that? Lower 48 weather. Let's start off with the Pacific Northwest first of all and show you it's cool around the Seattle and Portland area with showers there. Thunderstorms at Idaho Falls. Denver at 93 degrees. Then heading back across the rest of the country, as you can see here, looking at very warm temperatures in Washington, D.C., 91 degrees, 93 in Nashville. Severe storms around the Chicago area. I'll show you that in just a little bit. Over the rest of the southeast, very hot and very humid. 94 in Dallas, 91 in New Orleans. And then out to the west, again, very hot temperatures in Phoenix, 110. 106 in Las Vegas. Los Angeles, not too bad, 72 degrees. On our satellite and radar for tonight, watch the storms develop around the Chicago area and then roll to the east, and that's going to bring lots of heavy rain, flooding, possible tornadoes and everything else. A real mixed bag of weather tomorrow, and a very soaking rain over the northeast, the greatest severe threat in the circled area there. The overall jet stream, again, the new update is showing this weekend, again, way up to the north, which means warm temperatures and hot temperatures actually to continue across much of the country, and scattered thunderstorms across the Central Plains. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. We're looking at, actually, we'll go our forecast. How's that? And partly cloudy skies, 46 degrees tonight. They can clear with mild temperatures. Tomorrow's forecast, 75 degrees, mostly sunny, and continuing to warm. And the 5-day outlook, you gotta love this. Look at these temperatures rising to near 90 degrees by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And overnight lows in the mid-50s anywhere you look. So nice weather. It looks like a great Father's Day. We were talking about it last night. Overnight lows, 55 degrees. That's really warm. Maybe this heat will help to bake out some of these mosquitoes that have been hanging around. We can only hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I wanted good weather for Sunday for my golfing, but man, that's going to be almost too hot.
Like you said last time, you got to definitely hydrate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And wear proper covering too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do like is the dry heat, though. I do like that.
Oh, yeah. There's not relatively
no humidity to worry about, yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very good forecast. Thank you, Mike. That will wrap up this edition of the Fbx Evening News. As always, we are glad you could join us.
And of course, we got to give a special shout out.
Yes, we do.
To Bree. It's her last day, one of our production assistants here. Thank you for all your hard work.
Absolutely. We're going to miss her, and she always brings a load of fun with her every time she walks in the door.
And brownies and cookies and stuff, too.
Those two.
Stephanie tonight was at the ACCA Fun Picnic.
Right.
And tomorrow we'll have some video of that so we can share that with you, too.
Very good. And so we will say goodnight, and we'll leave you tonight with images from Camp Nashi, which starts next Monday, actually. And it's a great camp.
Hey, camp, yeah.
Absolutely. From all this here, have a great night.
Good night.